Corvus the Prilorian slammed his fist on the Galactic Council table, smashing it in half as he mocked the pathetic humans, not realizing the grave mistake he was making. Andrew Porter, the new Earth Federation ambassador, strode into the council chamber. His jaw tightened with anger. The other alien races gawked and muttered as the human took his seat, an unfamiliar face in their midst. Andrew's eyes locked on Corvus, the ruthless leader who had publicly ridiculed humanity for years. Corvus glared back, his reptilian eyes filled with disdain. The Prilorians were the most powerful race in the galaxy, their warships unmatched, their conquered worlds innumerable. Humanity was nothing to them, a primitive species barely worth acknowledging. But Andrew refused to let humanity be bullied any longer. Earth needed a voice on the council, a champion to fight for their rights as a sentient species. If he failed to stand up to Corvus and the Prilorians now, it could mean the end of humanity's hopes for a place among the stars. Andrew gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles white as the council session began, a battle of wills between the arrogant alien overlord and the defiant human rebel. Andrew Porter strode through the bustling corridors of the Galactic Council headquarters, his mind racing with strategies and alliances. In the weeks since his tense confrontation with Corvus, he had thrown himself into the task of building a coalition against Prilorian aggression. He knew that Earth could not stand alone against the might of the Prilorian Empire, but perhaps with the help of other species who had suffered under Corvus's rule, they stood a chance. His first stop was the embassy of the Zephyrians, a race renowned for their scientific prowess. Ambassador Zoran greeted him warmly, his silvery skin glinting under the artificial light. "Ambassador Porter, it is an honor to meet you," Zoran said, clasping Andrew's hand. "Your speech at the council session was most impressive." Andrew smiled. "Thank you, Ambassador Zoran. I come to you today with a proposal. The Prilorians threaten us all with their aggression and their hunger for conquest. I believe that if we stand together, we can oppose them and protect the rights of all sentient species." Zoran nodded thoughtfully. "The Prilorians have long coveted our technology. They believe that our advancements threaten their dominance. We have tried to reason with them, but Corvus is not a reasonable being." "Then join us," Andrew urged. "Together we can show the galaxy that no one species can bully and intimidate others into submission." Next, Andrew met with the Quarians, a species known for their diplomatic savvy. Ambassador Lyra listened intently as Andrew laid out his vision for a coalition of like-minded races. "The Prilorians have used their military might to force unfair trade agreements and territorial concessions from my people," Lyra said, her voice tinged with anger. "It is time that we put a stop to their aggression." As Andrew worked to build support, Corvus continued his campaign of mockery and intimidation. In public statements, he derided the Earth Federation as a primitive backwater, unworthy of a seat on the Galactic Council. He dismissed Andrew as a naive upstart, a mere child playing at diplomacy. But Andrew refused to be cowed. He met Corvus's insults with calm determination, rallying his allies and working tirelessly to build a united front against Prilorian aggression. Then came the shocking news. The Prilorians had announced their intention to annex the Zephyrian homeworld, claiming that the Zephyrians' advanced technology posed a threat to Prilorian security. The Galactic Council erupted in chaos, with some ambassadors calling for diplomacy and others demanding military action. In the midst of the uproar, Andrew took the floor. "The Prilorians have gone too far," he declared, his voice ringing out over the din. "Their aggression cannot be allowed to stand. I propose a resolution condemning their actions and authorizing the use of force to defend the Zephyrians." The resolution passed narrowly, with many races abstaining out of fear of Prilorian retaliation. But Andrew knew that it was a crucial first step in standing up to Corvus and his empire. As the Earth Federation and its allies prepared for war, Andrew received a disturbing intelligence report. The Prilorians had been secretly developing a new weapon, one capable of destroying entire planets. The stakes had just gotten higher, and the clock was ticking. Andrew knew that he had to find a way to neutralize the Prilorian threat before it was too late, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. Andrew slumped into the chair in his private quarters, exhausted from another day of tense negotiations and strategic planning. The chime of an incoming message snapped him out of his thoughts. He tapped the screen, revealing a cryptic note from an unknown sender. The message claimed to be from Zahn, a high-ranking Prilorian official who wanted to defect. Zahn professed to be part of a growing resistance within the Prilorian government, opposed to Corvus's warmongering and the development of the planet-killer weapon. The note detailed an offer. In exchange for asylum and protection for himself and his family, Zahn would provide critical intelligence about the weapon's location and the Prilorians' battle plans. Andrew leaned back, considering the implications. If this was genuine, it could be the key to ending the conflict without massive casualties on both sides. Andrew arranged for a clandestine meeting with Zahn on a neutral space station. He arrived at the designated coordinates, his heart pounding, his hand resting on the concealed blaster at his hip. A cloaked figure emerged from the shadows, and Andrew tensed, ready for anything. "Ambassador Porter," the figure rasped. "Thank you for coming." Andrew nodded curtly. "Zahn, I presume? I hope you understand the risks I'm taking by being here." The figure chuckled darkly, throwing back his hood to reveal the sneering face of Corvus himself. Andrew's blood ran cold as he realized he'd been played. "Risks indeed," Corvus hissed. "Did you really think a Prilorian would ever betray our glorious empire? You've fallen right into my trap, you foolish human." Before Andrew could react, a dozen Prilorian soldiers emerged, their weapons trained on him. He was quickly disarmed and marched into a waiting shuttle. Hours later, Andrew found himself shoved to his knees before the Galactic Council, his hands bound behind his back. Corvus towered over him, his reptilian eyes glinting with malice. "Behold," Corvus boomed, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The great human ambassador caught trying to conspire with a traitor to the Prilorian Empire. This is the caliber of the Earth Federation's leadership." Corvus turned to face the Council, his expression triumphant. "I demand the Earth Federation's unconditional surrender. If they do not comply, I will unleash our ultimate weapon and reduce their pitiful planet to ashes." Andrew's mind raced, desperate for a solution. He thought back to his studies of Prilorian culture and their obsession with personal combat. It was a long shot, but it was his only chance. "I challenge you, Corvus," Andrew shouted, his voice ringing out. "I challenge you to a traditional Prilorian duel. If I win, you will dismantle your weapon and withdraw from Zephyrian space. If you win, Earth will surrender." The council chamber erupted into chaos, ambassadors shouting and gesticulating. Corvus threw back his head and laughed. "You dare to challenge me, human? I accept. Prepare to die." As Andrew was led away to prepare for the duel, a Zephyrian aide slipped him a small package. Inside was a note from John Mitchell and a strange, sleek weapon. The note explained that Earth's top scientists had developed the device to exploit a weakness in Prilorian physiology. Andrew gripped the weapon tightly, knowing that the fate of Earth and the entire galaxy now rested on his shoulders. The Galactic Council arena pulsed with energy as the duel began. Representatives from every member species packed the stands, watching intently. Billions more tuned in remotely, their eyes glued to live video feeds. Andrew stepped into the arena across from Corvus. The Prilorian ambassador towered over the human, his reptilian face contorted in a sneer. Corvus activated his energy blade, the purple plasma crackling to life. He roared and charged at Andrew, closing the distance in a blur. Andrew stood his ground. He reached to his belt and activated the phase shift device. The human ambassador shimmered and turned translucent as Corvus's blade passed harmlessly through his body. Andrew pivoted and struck Corvus in the side with a solid punch. Corvus stumbled back, surprise flashing across his scaled visage. Andrew pressed his advantage, phasing through Corvus's guard to land more blows. The Prilorian adapted quickly, anticipating Andrew's movements. He parried a strike and kicked Andrew in the chest, sending the human flying. The fight raged back and forth across the arena floor. Corvus's immense strength and experience made him a fearsome combatant. But Andrew's quick thinking and advanced tech balanced the scales. Each time Corvus attacked, Andrew would phase shift to safety at the last second before counter-attacking. Corvus grew frustrated. He launched into a blistering offensive, his blade a purple blur. Andrew frantically dodged and phased, the assault pushing him to his limits. He shifted in and out of solidity, sparks flying as Corvus's blade grazed his armor. Suddenly the phase shift device sputtered. It blinked out, leaving Andrew fully corporeal. Corvus lunged forward, stabbing his blade into Andrew's shoulder. Andrew screamed as the plasma seared his flesh. He fell to one knee, blood pooling beneath him. Corvus loomed over the wounded human. He raised his blade for the killing blow. Andrew looked up at Corvus. He held up a hand. "I yield," Andrew croaked. Corvus paused, blade still poised. He grinned savagely. The Prilorian stepped closer to Andrew, lowering his weapon. Andrew tensed. His other hand shot out from behind his back, activating the plasma grenade. The blast engulfed them both in blue-white fire. The crowd gasped. Smoke filled the arena. As it cleared, a figure stumbled from the cloud. Andrew limped forward, the charred remains of the phase shift device clutched to his chest like a shield. Corvus lay prone on the ground. His armor was blackened, his body unmoving. Medics rushed over. After a tense moment, Corvus coughed and raised his head. "I am beaten," the Prilorian hissed. "The human has bested me, I yield." The arena erupted into chaos. Shouts of disbelief mixed with ragged cheers. Against all odds, Andrew had emerged victorious. Earth had triumphed over the mighty Prilorians. In the coming days, the Prilorians followed through on the terms of the duel. They dismantled their planet killer and withdrew from Zephyrian territory. A disgraced Corvus resigned from the Council, replaced by a more temperate Prilorian. The Earth Federation and its allies celebrated, relieved that the immediate crisis had passed. But as Andrew healed from his wounds, he knew their trials were far from over. The duel had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy, and Earth would need to fight to secure its place in the new order. Andrew Porter stood at the podium, his heart swelling with pride as he looked out over the sea of faces in the Galactic Council chamber. Species from every corner of the known universe were represented here today, united in their commitment to a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. It had been a long and difficult road to get to this point, but Andrew knew that the sacrifices made along the way had been worth it. In the years since his historic duel with Corvus, Andrew had worked tirelessly to reform the Galactic Council. He had reached out to the Zephyrians, the Quarians, and countless other species who had suffered under Prilorian aggression, forging alliances and building bridges where there had once been only mistrust and fear. Under his leadership, the Council had begun to address long-standing issues like resource distribution and technological sharing, ensuring that all member species had access to the tools and knowledge they needed to thrive. But even as the Council worked towards a brighter future, dark forces were gathering in the shadows. A group of traditionalist Prilorians, still loyal to Corvus and his vision of Prilorian supremacy, had secretly plotted to overthrow the Council and restore their species to its former glory. They had forged an alliance with the Zorgons, a species known for their expertise in biological weapons, and together they had unleashed a devastating virus on the Council's headquarters. The virus spread like wildfire, attacking the nervous systems of multiple species and causing widespread panic and chaos. Andrew, infected but still fighting, worked frantically to organize a response and save as many lives as possible. He ordered the evacuation of the station and called for emergency medical aid from all nearby systems. But even as he struggled to contain the outbreak, Andrew received a devastating blow. The virus, it seemed, had been engineered to exploit a vulnerability in human biology. As the death toll mounted, Andrew realized that he himself may not have long to live. With his remaining strength, Andrew recorded a final message to the galaxy. He urged all species to put aside their differences and work together for the greater good, to build a future based on cooperation and mutual understanding. And he named his Zephyrian colleague Ambassador Zora as his successor, knowing that she shared his vision for a united and peaceful galaxy. As Andrew felt his life slipping away, he took comfort in the knowledge that his message would live on. And indeed, as his final words were broadcast across the stars, millions of beings were inspired to take up his cause. The conspirators were eventually brought to justice, but the damage had been done. The Galactic Council, forever changed by the tragedy, renamed itself the Andresian Alliance in honor of Andrew's sacrifice. In the difficult days and weeks that followed, Ambassador Zora took up the mantle of leadership, guiding the Alliance through the long and painful process of rebuilding. But even as they mourned their losses, the member species of the Alliance knew that they were stronger together than they ever could be apart, and they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them united, guided by Andrew's legacy of courage, compassion, and unwavering commitment to justice. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.